Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The heart. The soul of the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
A very blessed, pleasant, respectful, and welcoming good afternoon to everybody who's out there listening to Radio Cayman. And if you're listening, you think your friend isn't, well, call them up and say, hey, this may just be for you. Because we got a chance to celebrate and showcase our young, ambitious, determined, wonderful young people as part of the Proud of Them nominee process. The recipients, and we have none other than James Jambo Miles leading the discussion. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And it's great that our country is able to formally and properly, increasingly recognize, show the respect and sincere public appreciation to young people as it encourages and inspires others. Jambo, thank you very much. I think the notion that we used the term some time back, and some got beat for saying it, proud of them, nation building. Mr. Billy always talks about cathedral builders. We do things now. We go back to the shipbuilders and the seafarers of way back when. That thing that they were doing was out of necessity. But I think they understood the importance of being able to demonstrate that you have the competence within your society, and now you need to ensure they embrace it. And here's just another step forward in a direction of cohesion, unity, and hopefully respectability. So thanks very much to you and the entire team, as we truly demonstrate that we're proud of them.
Yes. And thank you for affording us the opportunity to promote the positive contributions young people make.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just talk a little bit about the history of Proud of Them.
You read my mind.
It started on the heels of a spate of murders amongst our youth population.
Mm-hmm.
And we, at the National Youth Commission, noticed that young people are getting a lot of negative press. There was a lot of stories about behaviors in schools and youth groups and all this kind of stuff. So we say, there's far too much young people in the Cayman Islands doing positive things for all of this negative press around our young people. So we fought hard to try to see if we could get billboards erected to promote the positive contributions young people made and continue to make. And thankfully for the push from Joel Francis and the members of the National Youth Commission at that time, we got billboards up. We got 12 billboards put up in Grand Cayman in 2013. So next year is 10 years for the program. The new ministry that is under the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage is looking on rebranding the whole thing, taking a whole new look on how we do the selection process and everything else, and to take it to a higher level. So I'm grateful for it. Anything to promote the positive contributions of young people, everybody know that's what Jamo and his team at Youth Services Unit is about.
Well, I'm glad that you've allowed us an opportunity from day one, and last week's discussion like today, to showcase that we have within our society these examples, and it's probably not unlike, we see in certain communities where if the media portrays a certain image, and the people in that community can look and see themselves reflected in that image, they start to question. I love, Calypso's, the way he speaks to history, talks, and social commentary. And that famous song asking, where are your heroes West Indies? It's very much like today. Are we looking and seeing it ourselves? So if the rebranding includes an opportunity for us to see our people, and for the young people in particular to see themselves reflected on the billboards. They may not aspire to want to be on a picture publicly, but they will want to aspire to do the things that gives them that sort of thing. Maybe through you, Jamo, we introduce our two fine gentlemen, Mr. McField and Mr. Bonillo, and have them share. And gentlemen, I won't take license, but my initial impression is one that's very positive, and I may engage you further, seeing that my perception is that these are fine gentlemen with great intellect, ambition, aspiration, and opportunity to showcase and shine. So, Jamo, maybe through you?
Well, I can say that your presumptions are right. You'll find that out in short order.
There we go, man.
With me today is Proud of Them honorees from round 13, Mr. Lucas McField. He's being recognized, and I won't steal his thunder, so he'll tell you what he's being recognized for. Also with me is Dever Bonilla, and he'll explain what he's being recognized for. Both young men are fine young men who contribute a lot to our community, and you'll hear it from them.
Indeed. Well, Mr. McField, you probably will say, well, let's defer to Mr. Bonilla first, right? That's what he's thinking. Deborah, good afternoon, welcome, and thank you very much. Congratulations, if you will allow me to extend that publicly. And it's an honor to formally meet you and to welcome you to the studio.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to meet you as well, and thank you for the congratulations, and I thank everyone who has congratulated me so far, from my friends, family, acquaintances, peers that I work with at the CIA. I thank you all. I was nominated by my mother, Elizabeth Bonilla, from the great district of Boyne Town. Go Boyne Town.
Susan, where are you? Where's the ching? Go Boyne Town.
Exactly.
We'll get the hot buttons later.
Oh, yes. Thank you. For my work with the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps with community service. So originally I joined the Cadet Corps in September of 2010. Joined with the Triple C detachment. I used to attend Triple C school from 2009. And I joined in grade 8. I was just a lonely recruit. Joined with Captain Andrews when they were just formally starting Triple C detachment, and then passed out. Became a cadet on my birthday, the 23rd of January in 2011. Turned 13 on that day, and that's what they told me that what my birthday gift was. You're now a cadet. Enjoy the program.
You mean like a little program, have a garb, stand in the sun, help with agriculture show. Remember a few times
with Mokifa Bush giving the address.
Yeah. You remember?
Oh yes, I remember that day very well.
Yeah. See, that was an honorable birthday you had.
No? Oh yes.
I mean, he just doesn't talk anytime.
Oh no.
No, but congratulations, man.
Thank you. And then stayed with Triple C detachment for a couple of years. Moved over to the Marine detachment of the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps up to when I turned 18. I was on and off island during that time. I was also at Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville, Georgia. I commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Corps Cadets at Riverside. And then when I graduated, came back home, rejoined the Cadet Corps as a adult rank, went off to school again to Florida Institute of Technology, graduated with 3 degrees, 2 associates and a bachelor's. The 2 associates are in air traffic control and in airport operations and dispatch. So I am a licensed dispatcher, and also became a pilot. My bachelor's is in aviation management with flight. So I tried. My whole aim was try to get everything that the school offered to me, because I'm paying for just much. And I have government scholarship, so let's make it worthwhile.
Value for money, right?
Oh, yes. And graduated from school in May of 2019 and returned home, and then the pandemic hit. Then got activated by Cadet Corps to help out with the NEOC, so National Emergency Operations Center. I wasn't a call taker per se. I am trained as a call taker, but I was helping out with the repatriation flights at Oral Roberts International Airport. And I was helping at the quarantine facilities when they were first trying to get repatriation flights back home and personnel had to quarantine. So I helped out at formerly Comfort Suites, the Margaritaville and Holiday Inn. Over time, they closed down Margaritaville and the Comfort Suites facility and opened up the one in Wyndham. So I was over there for a couple of months as well. So just helping out during the nights with anyone who might have emergencies, needed food during the night, may have like drop-offs for like personal items, just try and make sure that they were comfortable during their quarantine period.
Awesome, man. And that commitment, we think of staying in power, from 2010, right? As you were sharing. Mr. McPhilo, welcome. And again, publicly, congratulations. I'm hoping that more of us, and like Mr. Bonilla, our mothers, our parents in particular, but our mothers, they're always proud of us. They're always championing. Sometimes we get embarrassed. Oh, mama, stop that. But hey, I carried you for 9 months, or in my case, 13. I'm just kidding. I might feel that way. But they're proud of us, right? They encourage us. They nurture us. They want us. And that was the wider community. To you, Mr. McPhilo, let's hear your story.
Thank you for having me. And thank you again for everyone that congratulated me as well. I walk into Foster's and the cashier would say, congratulations, but I need to remember that I'm on a billboard. So I'm like, what are they congratulating me for? And I was like, oh, yes. Thank you again for everyone. So I'm being honored for career and community service. I graduated from University of Tampa back in 2018 with my bachelor's in management. Prior to that, I had got my hospitality management associate's degree from UCCI. At that time, I wanted to go into hospitality, but going away to school, I said, let me just do business management so it could be more general, as I didn't decide what I wanted to do just as yet. So upon my return from college in 2018, I got the I knew I wanted to go into HR. That's the field that I'm in. I got the opportunity to be an HR assistant at Cayman First. That's where I am now. And over the 3 years, I've been promoted to several positions, and now I am the manager of human resources at Cayman First. That job also provides me the opportunity to work well in the community. So it's like a win-win situation. I love what I do, and I get to help the community at the same time. I've worked with JAMO in the past, and just being honored with this, just to see how everything comes back around, is truly amazing. Going back to the mother comment that you made, everyone's like, you don't need to post anything on Facebook because your mother has that covered. She's basically my personal publicist. But that's it, man. Yeah, so she's just very proud. I'm so honored to make her proud to be that son. So I'm just so glad that the initiative is there to promote young people and everything that they do. I don't want to step on anything that JAMO will say, but at the night of the event, it was so good because all 15 of us were able to be there, and it was so intimate just to speak to everyone. The girl that sat on my table, Liana, we didn't realize how close, how many connections we had, and I've never met her before. So to see that's amazing. And then I know they're rebranding and doing different things for the next round, so I'm excited to see what that has in store.
Well, I think this is where we as a community need to rally around. We need to draw support. We need to hold each other accountable, but we need to be willing to step up and accept responsibility. And when we come out from the breakdown, we can talk more about it. Maybe you can share about the rebranding as you wish. But what I'm encouraged is, and you can talk about this afterwards too, the age range that we're looking at, because we're seeing two, if I say, upwardly mobile, career-oriented, community-centric individuals who are not teenagers. I mean, they're not as old as JAMO and Susan, but they're not teenagers. Right.
Susan young, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't mean that Susan.
A different Susan.
Yeah. All right, we're going to pause and take that break, but when we come back, we invite you to be a part of it and celebrate with us, man. Let's show our true heritage of being proud and encouraging and nurturing of each other. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven-roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you very, very much for joining us, and thanks to Jambo and the entire team and to the entire country for finally recognizing the importance of us showing not just deference but a willingness. I think if there's one thing to be said about Caymanians generally, a bit quiet, reserved, and not the very best at blowing our own trumpet, because that was seen as a bad thing at once, and it probably is to be arrogant and condescending, but it's equally bad if you're not confident and aspiring and able to lead us by example. So, together to, with Mr. Bonilla and Mr. McField, it's good to sit here and listen to not just eloquence, but two individuals who embody a sense of community service, desire to propel the wider community by being examples. And this is what it's about, right, Jamo?
Right. And you'd be surprised how much young people are thinking this way.
Yeah.
I think at our core, Caymanian core, we are a humble people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people mistake that humility for us being very passive.
Yeah.
But if you really try to push the wrong buttons, you would see that we're not a passive group.
Yeah.
We're a group of people that are humble enough to learn what needs to be learned, teach what needs to be taught, and to make the world a better place. And that's our core.
Yeah. There's humility. We're amenable. There is our humbleness. There's also the hospitality. And unfortunately for some, people they mistake it, the kindness for weakness. My fear, and I shared this a long time ago, and I hope it's not being realized, we will move from being that passive, and instead of becoming assertive, we'll jump all the way to becoming aggressive, because you've been push, and then coupled with all the pressures. I mean, the last 2 years, I can't think of anybody who hasn't felt some level of pressure where they feel like they're going to break, at least they're bending, right? This is why this is so important, because I can look to people and say, that's my son's, classmate, that's my niece's, neighbor, and there's a cohesion. So, Jambo,
actually, the last 2 rounds of Proud of Them shows a high level of resilience, because these young people are achieving great things in spite of all of what's happening.
Yeah.
All of this disruption and all of this flux around their life, they still manage to excel on their job, excel in their academics, still find ways to give back to the community when there's social distancing and quarantines and all of this kind of stuff. And this is what is so great about this program. it gives us an opportunity to highlight these young persons who are doing this in spite of all of this.
Yeah,
they still have a positive outlook, looking to build a nation, looking to strengthen their community, and just to make Cayman the best it can be.
Can I ask then, right, and I'll leave it to you to answer as you wish, and if you want. But I think back to our parents, and again, with great respect to our fathers, it's primarily our mothers. For some reason, it's not that they're maybe inclined to be more nurturing, but perhaps they have greater vision. I say this, and hopefully if it's not right, someone will tell me. There is in town a statue. Of all the statues, to me, it's the most important statue a country can have. We're celebrating in the Cayman context our women and that level of aspiration. But what they demonstrate through their resilience and their resolve and their sense of commitment to community and to family. That statue is only, one size. It could be a zillion times bigger, if that's a word. It still will be big enough to encapsulate what they are and what they mean and what they have contributed. So with that, perhaps first to you, Mr. Bonilla, from that perspective, when we look at balancing the commitment to community and service, to pursuing our careers, whether it's academic through university, getting on the job training so that we want to get somewhere, and then is there a difficult opportunity to do that, and B, is the community, not just family and friends, as encouraging and nurturing as it should be, or is there a lot more pull from school, family, co-workers, friends, and saying, what do you want to bother that for? That'll make no sense. How do you find it? And Mr. McField, to you as well, how do you find those two things? Balancing that, getting ahead in life, but also, take that mantle and give it back as you get.
I see in the wider community, yes, they do try to nurture you. They do try to push you to do more. Even from the little school days, even when you had at primary school and during your the house competition days. Even from those days, they would try to push you forward. Do more, achieve more, do your best.
Okay.
But they always came to that point that, all right, you must put towards your academics. You need to put towards your extracurriculars so you can qualify for a scholarship to go overseas and get a higher education. But then you also have your social life as well. Then you also have community service life as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also, on top of that, have your church life as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't forget about that either.
The spiritual growth and nurturement. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then all those, you have that to do all in 1 week. And then people always complain about, why are you so busy for?
Yeah.
I'm busy because I'm trying to improve myself as much as I can.
Devil has work for idle hands, right?
Very much so.
Can I interject and ask you then, as we get to Mr. McField, is it that every single student in every single class in every single school is getting that, or are we, and I'm careful of this, but this is only said to me from educators way back when, that we tend to have some educational systems that cream off the top. We look for the best, and we highlight and exemplify them and nurture them. The rest of you, but if you make it too lucky, we don't do it for everybody. We want to do it for some, depending on what. Careful to ask that, but is that what is happening? And are we like, hey, everybody's equal, and we can encourage everybody, or is only a select few?
Personally, in my life, I have seen that myself, and that's happened to me, actually.
Okay.
I was in the top of my class. I wasn't the smartest of people. I still don't consider myself to be the smartest of persons. I'm always willing to learn no matter what it is. That's just my nature. But even at my classes when I was in school, the cream of the crop, yes, you go forth, we'll help you no matter what. If you're in the middle of the class or the bottom tier of the class, you're stressed more. You're stressed more to all right, why aren't you achieving this level? I really don't know. This is just my nature. I'm a B average student. Sometimes get a C. I even got a D in some classes. This is just how I am. I'm me personally. I'm more of a visual learner. I need a slideshow, presentation, or like to actually see what I'm learning about.
Okay.
The same thing, a problem I had in college as well at flight school. In class, they would give me all these concepts like Bernoulli's principle of lift, of Newton's 3 laws. I don't know what these mean until I actually got to what we call the flight line, the airport, and then they actually can demonstrate these to me in an aircraft. Now I understand this.
Okay.
That's just me, a personal learner.
Perfect. If I might, Ms. Mike, if you wish.
Yeah. Cool. And just going back to the community support that you first asked, I think I know that it is there, especially in these new days. Reno Jackson, one of the other Proud of Them members, he's his honor was for
Career and culture.
Career and culture, correct.
He's an
so,
artist. Yeah.
And that's the point now. So he's an artist. He's not in the accounting firm. He's not doing finance. He's in art. And his mom in that video said Reno wanted to do that, so she pushed him and she made sure that he did what he wanted to do and made sure that he loved. And that's just like myself. HR, and not everyone would like HR, but I love human resources. I've been there for 3 years. I still haven't worked a day in my life because I enjoy it, and I think that is what it's
Your paycheck probably reflects that too. Sorry, I just
But yeah, no, I think that was important. Just finding something that you're passionate about and following that. Being passionate about community service, helping out, just things like that. Just make sure that you love it, because you don't want it to be that you wake up and you just have to do it. You need to want to do it.
Yeah. And this is where, in asking that, John, I'm hoping that the adults, I'm not speaking to us because we're all legal at the age of majority now. I mean, Jamba, you are 28?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. I'll assume that. You know? Ish. Right? As the parents, as the teachers, as the older heads, so to speak, that we start to, pass the mantle, but don't just throw it at them, and just don't throw the people in and say, sink or swim. Hey, how do you come along? I heard Pastor Casey Treat way back when say, you look at the families who continue legacy. Some will say, well, you get this inheritance, however much it is, when I'm dead. And some will say, listen, there's this thing, let me help you to build it, let me, whatever little knowledge and experience have, draw alongside, and let me teach you what little I know so you can continue. And those that have done that, seen the legacy continue and the prosperity, or at least the collective sense of ownership, we're not doing enough of that. We're not reaching and guiding and nurturing. What sometimes we're doing is saying, boy, I could have told you that. Well, why didn't you tell me that? You wait until I see. You couldn't see that yourself, big as you is. But why are we doing that? And maybe, Jamo, we need to now do this, sort of the reflection of what is there is a mirror of us.
Well, in terms of succession planning, I think that's probably the next wave of growth for Proud of Them,
right?
Where these newly established youth icons will start to pour into the next generation.
Yeah, man.
And tomorrow there's a Honoring Women's Month breakfast where FRC is looking to launch a mentoring program. So I'll be attending just to see how we could fit in that. We got a lot of female I'm Proud of Them alumni, and we got a lot of males as well that are constantly giving back. And I think this would be another meaningful way to engage these these more notarized young people, because a lot of people have seen them on the billboards, now know who they are. If they get to spend some time with them, they'll get to know where they're coming from, what they've been recognized for, and what kind of contributions that they continue to make. But you mentioned a question to Deborah about the struggles of the average student. About 17 years ago, when Youth Flex were taking letters from young people and from the public, a student wrote about the B-class student. And in it, the student shared that what happens to these children? The high flyers go off to college, the ones that are underachieving and the low grades go to jail. What happens to the B-class student? What happens to the one that is not quite the cream of the crop? What happens to them after graduation? What happens to them? And some of them could just be late bloomers. It also alluded to that yes, it might take them a little bit longer before they hit their stride, because at them times they were graduating students at the age 14, 15, 16. So they were actually very young. Since then, they now have it that you stay in school a little bit longer, and you graduate around 17 or 18. But for some people, they were graduating at the age 15. When they come out, if they go into the workplace, they still have to catch a bus for about 2 years before they can get a car. The transport system wasn't reliable and all that. Plus, they're competing with people with better grades. So what happens to these young people? What employment opportunities are there? What other ways of being tooled up, even in the gap after high school? And it was intriguing. And to the point where we had a discussion on Youth Flex for about 3 weeks after we got that letter. And the more we talked about it, the more the community came on board and said, well, if you have a list of these B-class students, send them here. We'll try to take them in and tool them up. And I like, wow, it was a great feeling for me to get the calls from the Fosters and from the Cayman National Bank. And at that time, I think it was Cayman General. It wasn't Cayman First then. But I think, wow, these communities actually want to say, listen, just because this large majority, because there's only a small minority that is A class going off to get to college, and then there's another minority that they're lucky if they graduate.
Yeah.
And then this big block in the middle of about 180 out of the 300 graduates.
Almost, more than 50%.
Yeah. This big block of them that they're just drifting. They could either go this way, but with some encouragement, go this way.
Right.
So they're saying, we'll help them go this way. And I say, well, if you would do that, I will try to organize this, and I'll try to organize that. And it was a great way of having just the radio show branch out into the community to help young people. And a lot of young people took advantage of it if they were interested in construction or that kind of stuff, because a lot of these were just like, they're tactile learners. They learn with their hands. They learn by doing. And that's why academics didn't really suit them.
Right.
And so a lot of them started to go into these fields, and then they came across other barriers, like there's a course for a Caymanian that is the same price for 2 persons on work permit.
It's the mother boss.
And those kind of discussions started to happen once the person started to hit their stride. When I was a laborer, it was fine. But as soon as I became a carpenter, or as soon as I became a foreman, things start to get rough, and I'm like, wow. So I watched from all of this till then walls being put up.
Yep.
And I said, well, I don't know how to address that. But with God's help, I know the youth services, we'll find a way around.
Yeah, man. Acknowledging, I think, sometimes is the first step to addressing, right? And just like you mentioned with that, as we go into the break, I'll leave the listeners to consider this. Just an example with the students in the class, A, B, or C, however you want to quickly put it. What about the societies that have segregated people into rich, middle, and poor? Not terms I like to use, but what is happening to that in the middle, just like the student. Let's pause and take that break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Stay tuned.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
Until March 31st, CUC's subcontractors will be conducting tree trimming between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. from Hearst Road in Savannah to Northwood. Motorists should exercise caution due to temporary lane blockages. Landowners, it is your responsibility to maintain the vegetation on your properties to avoid future tree trimming costs. Reminder, do not trim vegetation within 10 feet of power lines. For more information, contact 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in the studio. James Jambo Miles. No, I should ask you, still acting?
No, I'm
Designate?
Yeah.
All
Head of
right.
Youth Services designate.
So you got your Oscar?
Yeah. Or at least a Tony Award or something.
Hey, could be a piece of cassava cake, even better.
That's right. I didn't put it up as a trophy. At least the pan.
The pan. Okay, you make sure you down. If you have a problem, you call Susan. And
Look,
talking.
Susan only eats stretcher. She on the phone.
She heard. She said, "John,
because I was stretcher."
And we got two of the proud of them honorees. Mr. Mafinas Bonita. Thank you, Lucas and Navarro for joining us, because as I see this, I'm hoping that as a society, all of us, and I hope that nobody listening would take away that we're doing anything other than being absolutely respectful for all and sundry. If you trace your ancestral roots back to the first day that my people were here, or you just came yesterday, if you live and work in this country, this is home for now. Let's work together to make it the very best place, right? To Tuesday evening, I was at the National Gallery for a bit, and we all know Miss Sophia Solomon Harris, a remarkable, eloquent lady with just an elegance about her, right? And she spoke, but prior to that, she paid homage to the lady that spoke before. We've read the story that she relayed, about her unfortunate attack recently in Cayman. That should not be happening, right? And if we don't find a way to make sure that we all feel a sense of safety and security, there's a political and economic stability, there's a social harmony. You can get your community all you want, Bobo. You can hire bodyguards. You can do all you want, drive bulletproof cars. You're not living peacefully because your mind, your spirit isn't one, right? And if our parents have gone from a place where they could go sleep, windows open, doors unlocked, and didn't bother with it, and we worried that we got a guard dog, a security outside, a security system, and a gated community, hey, that's no different from next door or the continent across the street. So this is where I think we're so proud of you, because you exhibit and inculcate what is Caymanian. Lucas, from your perspective, what would you say? Two things. One, what makes this for you a proud moment? And two, mothers or other parents, wider community, employers, why they need to get on board, and whether they nominate people, but they somehow step up, and if this is wrong, you tell me. I'll give you license to that. Don't just give a personal certificate for participating. No. Exert yourself, and then if you win, good, but be a grateful winner. What are the two things that you say that it makes you honored to be a recipient, but also how do we encourage, motivate, and nurture, and cause others to want to be that? And to you, same way, Devo.
So first, yes, being honored is just amazing. I felt when I got the call from my sister, because she nominated me, I was surprised, because I always saw the billboards but never really thought that, I'd be on it. So it's just to be me, being me, and doing what I love. I think just being honored for doing that and being that person is amazing. And then to the second part with the community, I think first, thank you so much to Youth Services for having this initiative, continuing it, growing it. I think the next one is going to be amazing, especially being its 10th year. Me and Jan were a bit talking at the gala a few weeks ago about mentorship and how the alumni will be mentors for either the new persons that'll be honored, or just in the community, how we can help. And I think that's kind of the first step for us as honorees, and will help with the other companies and the other organizations in the community as well. And I think that's even what we're doing here today, speaking about it and saying how important it is to just back someone based on what they love to do, is truly important.
Devar, what about you?
Continuing with your question, I think it personally is just not to just do and help the community, but to find something in the community that you like participating in, give it 110%, actually give it more than that, give it 200% and plus, and just make sure that you are also having fun and what you're doing has a great impact at it as well. Like, I just went to Miami 2 weeks ago, spent a week in Miami, tried to get all my flight stuff going again after not flying for 2 years. Immediately came back home, went to the Proud of Them dinner, went home, slept, woke up, packed all my stuff and went to Cayman Brack to help out with a camp for 4 days. So we were a Lehman Scott detachment. Came back home on Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, I'm driving a bus again from John Gray High School to Clifton Hunter High School, transporting cadets and helping out with that camp. That camp just finished on Saturday evening. So
this is in addition to working.
Yes, this is in addition to working because I had work on Friday as well. So I had to tell the camp commandant to say, hey, I need to go to work. I'll be back somewhere around midnight. I came back at midnight, helped out with the kids to make sure they went to bed, woke them up in the morning, and helped them up with camp, and then still went to work on Monday morning.
Yeah. See, that's the ambition that we know, right?
So he never have a problem mentoring.
He already got a whole bag of cadets to mentor.
Oh, yes.
John, we're looking forward to the rebranding. We're looking forward to more discussions. And I'm especially looking forward to this community waking up and recognizing that if we don't look and see where we are and what we can give and stop taking, there'll be nothing left.
Yeah.
That'll offend somebody.
And I want to encourage the community to keep nominating young people, young, deserving young people. The nomination period will be probably from May until August this year for the next round. The ministry is revamping almost everything. So we might have a new nomination process. Right now it's online. I think that works really well. We got a lot of nominations. For round 13 we had 106 nominations for 69 nominees. And some of them got more than one nomination. Some of them got more than 10 nominations. But that whole process is also being relooked as well, and with the hopes of everything getting a lot better. And it's pretty good now. So I look forward to seeing how good it can get as well.
Well, I think that improvement stems from us as a community being involved, and it stems from a respect that we should have for ourselves, but for each other. And recognizing that if we expect the youth to take up the mantle, but be willing to pass, but we also got to be willing to draw alongside. And sometimes a little correction, a little discipline, it only improves things. You can't wait till after the fact and say, I told you so. John, well, thanks to you especially. I've always commended you publicly, and gentlemen, it is truly an honor. May you continue to excel. May you be that exemplary, sort of person that causes the rest of us to be inspired, and what you do bring you joy. You have the health and the strength and the presence of mind, to mentor, but also to appreciate and value and engage and enjoy life, my friends. Blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, before I go, I want to say thank you to the ministry for the support and the selection committee for the hard work. I didn't have to do any of the selection. I just had to turn it over to them. So Tavis and Ventisha and Andrel and Brianna, thank you very much for doing what you've done. And I'm hoping that you can be the selection committee going forward for several rounds as well, because you guys did a fantastic job.
All right, man. Well, with that, we're honored, and hopefully we'll continue to highlight, showcase, and show that we are truly proud of all of our young people in particular. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk about the Early Childhood Assistance Program. So we invite you to be a part of that discussion, and then open line for the remainder of the hour thereafter. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Education Services reminds all parents and guardians that registration of students for the 2022-2023 academic year commences on April 1st, 2022. It is a requirement of the Education Law 2016 for a parent or legal guardian of any child of compulsory school age to be registered and enrolled in full-time education suitable to the child's requirements. Detailed student registration guidelines and forms are available on the DES website at schools.edu.ky. In international news, a first round of talks between the foreign ministers of Russia and Ukraine has failed to yield progress on a ceasefire, Ukraine says. Speaking after the meeting in Turkey, Dmytro Kuleba said that the demands his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, had made amounted to a surrender. Mr. Lavrov, meanwhile, said his country's military operation was going to plan. The talks come after Russia bombed a children's hospital, which Ukraine said was a war crime. The first person in the world to get a heart transplant from a genetically modified pig has died. David Bennett, who had terminal heart disease, survived for 2 months following the surgery in the U.S., but his condition began to deteriorate several days ago, his doctors in Baltimore said. And the 57-year-old died on March 8th. Mr. Bennett knew the risks attached to the surgery, acknowledging before the procedure it was a shot in the dark. The director of hit superhero film Black Panther was mistaken for a bank robber as he tried to take money out of his own account in the U.S. Ryan Coogler was briefly arrested after trying to withdraw $12,000 in January. The teller had reportedly told her boss she suspected an attempted robbery after misinterpreting the situation. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts was born at Cotton Tree Bay in Kimmebrack on 15th October 1916 to James Nathaniel Tibbetts and Elsie Huldah Tibbetts nee Hunter. In 1931, the family moved to Belize, then known as British Honduras, where young Keith worked on boats on the dry dock. However, the family returned to Kimmebrack after 6 months, and that is when he began to build catboats. During the 1932 hurricane, at the age of 16, being a strong swimmer, he was able to save many people. However, his baby brother, only sister, and grandmother unfortunately perished. A week after the island-wide disaster, his uncle Dwight came to the island on his own ship with some relief supplies and brought his brother Ronnie. After assisting with the rebuilding of the family home, resurrecting the family car, and helping other relatives and the community rebuild, he built and sold several catboats before going to Jamaica to seek employment as a seaman. This was part 2 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that? But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks very much for the opportunity to sit here and facilitate. It truly is an honor and a privilege and a genuine pleasure, and if ever I can do it better, please, help me, because if I improve, that means I'm a better person. It may not be better for you, but it'd be better for me. So I'm honored. And I'm honored to have this opportunity to talk about the Early Childhood Assistance Program as we get a chance to welcome Dr. Pearline Henry Burrell and her colleague, Ms. Deborah Borden. When we think initially of, and again, as educators, you can guide me, we start with preschool and we start with different things, and the whole idea of early childhood education, setting that foundation for learning. There were some of us at our homes, we probably learned from the older children, we learned certain things, then we actually learned that there was a better way to learn, so just don't recite the ABCs, get the phonetics, and then when you're at school, you may have actually, could write your name probably, you could probably spell it, but what's your penmanship? So the more that we were able to improve, the better outcomes, but the more enjoyment. So early childhood seems to be now, well, a given. So crucial. So, Dr. Pearline, from that perspective, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And Ms. Deborah, I mean, they say once an educator is like a talk show, always an educator, always a talk show host. It's a calling, and I'm glad that you guys have answered it. Let's first ask, the CAP funding, what is it? How do we access it? Dr. Pearline?
Well, so the ECAP fund is offered by the Ministry of Education through the Early Childhood Unit. ECAP is for qualified Caymanian children, that's the children who would have attained the age of 3 prior to the 1st of September of the academic year, which funding is to be paid.
Mm-hmm. And I think when we look at getting not just that level of assistance to families, so the financial and the burden isn't that difficult, but it gives the working family an opportunity to get back into the workplace, knowing that the child is not just getting good attention, but getting instruction. So, Ms. Deborah, from that perspective, when we look out, not just at that application process, not line it, for some of us, we're so busy working that we get home in the evenings and we're so exhausted that we're only too glad to pick up the phone and have food delivered as opposed to sit and cook and maybe talk to the children. Is the application process as difficult and daunting as some of us may think, or is it as easy as Cayman status? Just kidding.
Well, we try to make it as easy as possible for individual families to access. So the application forms are available online. They're available at the early childhood centers. They're available in the government administration building. They can request them by email by emailing ecap@gov.ky. They can also request them by phoning us or WhatsApping us. They can scan the QR code on the flyer, and then they're also available at various locations that provide services to Cayman. They are required to fill in the application form. If they do not fill in the application form, we cannot process it. So as daunting as it may be, it is something they need to do, and there are documentations that are required to be submitted along with them. So it does take some time to put that together, but we are here to assist.
Well, I must commend you publicly, and not on DCI over the years where you have made yourselves available after hours, going into places, even in the new government building, for us to come in and say, hey, I don't quite understand how you download the form, or I've got a question. You make it as easy, and I see that across many of the government departments being of service. If I could then ask, though, sometimes we like to believe one size fits all, and we buy adjustable waistbands, so it doesn't matter what size you can do it. But in this case, are there different types of funding that are available depending on what?
Well, that's Ms. Deborah's portfolio.
So the funding is means tested. So it's a means tested fund. So depending on with your consideration of your income and how many dependents you have, there's a supplementary, which is $500 per month, and there's basic, which is $305 per month. And when I say per month, it's from September 1st of the year. So it would be September 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So it's for those 10 months of the year.
Which is normally the traditional sort of academic year. All right. And then they can apply. Now, how is the how are the funds dispersed? Because sometimes, we're not quite sure. And, well, let's ask that first.
So once they qualify for the funding and they have been given their decision letter that they have received the funding, the funds would go directly to be paid directly to the early childhood care center.
Okay. And then there's some of us who maybe we get a job change, maybe relocate, and this particular early childhood center is more convenient if we're in here versus here. But we have the funding for childhood center A, but we're thinking B might be a better fit for whatever the reason. What happens then?
So the funding is tied to the child, not
Okay.
to the center. So the funding is for the child. If the child is moving centers, you do need to know what the withdrawal process is at the center the child currently attends. So if they require 30 days written notice, I would recommend they give the 30 days written notice, and then the funding would transfer to their new center.
Mm-hmm.
If they leave without giving that notice, then they will have a period of time where they won't have funding.
Okay. Well, like many things, I mean, just be right, Ms. Well. What about and I say this carefully, I think many people would appreciate that have, for want of a better word, licenses, registration, having something that's verifiable. You know, whether you're going to your mechanic or whether you went to some place to eat and you wanted to know that the DOE has come in, or the DEH would be, and inspected, so that's a safe place and has its license, just like anything. Are there certain are there the necessary that we go to a facility that is registered, licensed, and recognized, or it could be anywhere and everywhere?
Well, we are pleased to say that all of our early childhood centers, our education institutions, our provision, they're all licensed. So they would have gone through the process where that includes checking the age. Ms. Dabra is, as I said, a specialist in registration too. But they are all licensed.
Okay.
And there are processes that they would have gone through to ensure that they have the highest quality.
So they're registered through the Education Council. Yes, and then there's health and safety checks.
So it makes it then for us as parents almost that sort of verification process that's done for us. We just need to know that this one, for whatever the preference is for us, maybe it's convenience, maybe it's the comfort, whatever that thing is, we know that this place already passes the check mark.
Yes. And when they enter the center, the registration certificate should be displayed by Education Council. So if parents are unsure, they can ask the center to see the certificate. And
that should be something very much similar to some businesses that you go into, you see the license for this year, the elevators that we go into, there's an inspection thing. I don't know how people look for it. I do. And, I've seen a few that were still signed by Mr. Emerson Pierce. I'm like, yeah, that's better than Mr. McClary because he's been going longer. But so we should check that, right? That's part of our thing. With that in mind, though, are there certain things that we as the successful applicants, do you expect of us?
So we would expect you would, the family would be responsible for registering the child at the center. They're also, the fund will not go towards uniforms or a registration fee, so they're responsible for those additional funds. They are also responsible for informing our unit if their contact details change. So if their phone number changes, they need to let us know as well so that we can keep in contact with them. And then, as we spoke before, they're responsible for informing the center and the early childhood care and education unit if they're changing centers and being aware of what the withdrawal process is.
All right. I think, Ms. Susan, we have the break to take. Is that no? Oh, she's awesome. She was reading my mind. Because when it comes to education, she's like, he likes to talk about this stuff. All right. So we'll continue for 15 minutes or maybe 12 minutes and 19 seconds. Who knows? I'm honored that you would take time out of your day to share with us, and for parents who are listening to appreciate that the Early Childhood Assistance Program is there, it's available. I want to ask the selection process, how beneficiaries are selected, how funds are dispersed. You did reference directed to it, and the application process, is it open? Is it by a certain time? Ms. Darbo?
So the application process is open. It started on March 1st of this month. And it is open then year-round. So currently we are still accepting applications for the prior year. And so they do need to fill in the application form. And once they submit once they submit it back to us, there is a time frame in the guidance document. So the guidance document is also available to the families. So if they have submitted the form to us between March and April of this year, they will be reviewed by May 30th, and they'll have their decision letter. If they turn in their forms between May and June, they would have their response by the end of July 30th. And if they return their forms from July to August, they'll hear by the end of September. So we're encouraging everyone by June so that you have your funding in place by September.
Yeah, either you plan to fail or you fail to plan, right? With that in mind, as I listen to you, is it then that from the 1st of September to June 30th, that 10-month academic school year. Person is approved, and let's say the child is of age. So 2 questions. Up to what's the age range? And then secondly, if they approve it for this year, come next year, end of the school year, so September 2023, new school year, is it automatic or do you have to reapply again? So what's the age range, and then is it automatic and continuing?
Well, those are two very good questions,
and
questions that we get a lot. So thank you for asking them. So the fund that's open from September of this year until June of 2023 is for children who turn 3 before September 1st. So that means their date of birth would be the 1st of September 2018 to the 31st of August 2019. The following year that you're asking about, that would be the year they're eligible for a reception program run through the government Department of Education. So they would go on to reception, so it doesn't automatically renew.
Okay.
Now, there are some cases for extenuating circumstances where children may get funding prior to being 3. Those are listed on page 2 of the application form. So they would include health issues or conditions of the parent that may affect their earning income, or in fact affect their how much they're spending, or a serious family emergency, or multiple children and special needs as well. So those are listed on page 2. People can have a look at them. If they do qualify for funding with the documentation that's required before they're 3, they would still have to fill in the application form for the next year.
And as I listen to both of you, I recognize that sometimes as parents, we may have a bit of reticence because we're private. We don't want people to know our business. Well, you can reassure us, but I'm absolutely confident. This is most confidential. Some of the people that you get to help, just their profession alone dictates that they have to be absolutely confidential. But then there's also this reservation that we have. Some would say, pride, or we don't want to ask. Or we may think we don't qualify because we make X sum, but as you just shared, Ms. Borden, we have a lot of expenses, unexpected at times, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. So make that application and let your team be the arbiters and determine whether or not you qualify. You might qualify for a certain percentage. You might qualify for the full amount. Who knows, right?
Yes. I think the good thing about this fund is that it's actually open throughout the year. So because circumstances change from time to time. So a person who may have a salary of a certain amount may lose it due to different circumstances. So it opens out, and each application is reviewed on it's for its own unique merits.
All right.
And the oversight committee that reviews the application all sign a confidentiality agreement, so everything is kept as confidential as possible. And we do the information that's requested, the documents that are requested, they all follow. We manage those under the data protection law.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that many of us start to appreciate that. We wish this assistance was available way back when we were young parents, as it were, even when we were students will qualify, but we have it now. Let's avail ourselves of it, and let's figure out how to navigate. That's why I commend you publicly for being available. I've seen your team. I call it the new glass house, but maybe it's the new brick building. In the conference room, saying, "Hey, we're here between these hours. Come by and we'll help you with it." They take phone calls, so that's very like I said, the team at DCI similarly done the same thing, especially when it comes to the the NPOs and the like. With that though, as I listen to you, we still live in a space where many of us like a phone call. We're just not quite sure. Contact information if you have questions and the like. Who do we reach out to specifically?
I am the main person, but anyone in the unit can answer those questions. I know Dr. Burrell answers quite a few for me, so I really appreciate the support. So the number is 244-3155, and there's also a cell number, which is 936-0267. And we also recognize that not everyone has access to making phone calls or the long phone calls. We do also use WhatsApp on the 936-0267, and they can also submit the forms through WhatsApp as well.
Okay. So as we talk about the Early Childhood Assistance Program, you referenced earlier about being means tested. Maybe I shouldn't assume that we all understand what that means. A quick explanation of that, and then how does that play into it?
Okay.
Okay,
so it's dependent on the number of dependents. So it's like a chart, and one column is the number of dependents, and then across the top is the income that's earned. So it's the total income for the place where the child lives, with the parent with the child lives, whether that be one parent earning income or two. So there's 4 different brackets, with the top income being $4,998 per month. So if you earn less than $2,625 per month, regardless of if you have one dependent or 4 or 5, you would be getting the supplementary of the $500 per month. If you earn between $3,414 to $4,200 per month, and you have 2 dependents, then that would fall at basic, which is $305. The chart is right on the application form for everyone to see, so they can clearly see where they would fall. Just so that everyone is clear, the personal expenditure is not considered when processing the applications. We look at what the income is for the month, and we do look at the deductions for health and for pension, and that is where the income comes, and then how many dependents.
So things like mortgage or rent, not included?
Not included.
But pension and health, are there any other expenditures that may be included in there?
The answer to that is no, except that if there's an extenuating circumstance where they have additional expenses for a health condition and they're paying that out of pocket, they can present those receipts and give us kind of a breakdown, and then those would be deducted from their income.
And this is where I think that, and I say this carefully because sometimes we complain that we have more month than we have money. And it's not that we're not making enough in our minds. Sometimes just the way our lifestyle is structured, the expenses that we have. You go to the bank and the bank says, well, I want to know what your debt service, and this is what we include. Increasingly, strata fees are included. Maybe some years ago they weren't. Your credit card debt, but I paid off all the time. Well, you have a high credit card, we take a percentage of that. So this way we get to appreciate what you're including in our, qualifying. So the means test doesn't mean that they're going to be mean when they test you. They just assess you. I'm just kidding. My second joke for the day. No, but you guys make it, not just a process that we can navigate. You show great deference to the applicants and getting them around. I'm led to share with you from one of your applicants way back when. Had a discussion there with your colleagues some years ago, and they were encouraged to apply. And they were a bit, how do I put it later, said, she was a bit embarrassed to apply. Why should I have to apply? Because, I should be making enough, I should be able to afford it. We feel that pride. And she said, they came in and she felt as if, she was in the shop going to be buying candy as a gift. She felt absolutely welcome, and that was really good. So publicly, I commend the Civil Service Initiative. Truly world class.
Thank you.
All right. Again, though, September is tomorrow if you blink.
Exactly.
And there's going to be hurricane seasons between now and the end of the month. So all sorts of things can transpire. Start the process now?
Yes, please. Yes.
And if you can't get the forms online because you're like Susan and myself, we don't do the computers that well, just kidding. We can pick them up different places, fill them out. What are some of the documentation, if I can ask you to repeat it again, that we need?
Sure. It is listed on page 1 of the application, and then throughout the application there's check boxes where it's reminding you of the pieces that are required. So we do require a copy of the parent's government-issued ID, so that can be their driver's license, a picture page of the passport or their voter's ID card, a copy of the child's birth certificate, a copy of proof of right to be Caymanian for the child. So that one gets a bit tricky. Sometimes that's an acknowledgement letter for the child. Sometimes that's Cayman status for the parent prior to when the child was born. Sometimes that is a copy of the parent and grandparents' birth certificates. So that is all listed on the page 1 of the form, the different ways you can get to right to be Caymanian. And we also then require a copy of a job letter or 2 pay slips, and those pay slips need to be recently dated. If the parent is not working and unemployed and seeking work, then proof of registration with work as a job seeker extended.
Okay.
And then if they're applying under an extenuating circumstance, that additional documentation, which is listed on page 2 of the application form.
Well, I hope I'm not accused of being political, but this is where I commend governments for finding the precious resources and prioritizing expenditure on education and allocating money for education versus whatever the other thing is as important and as pressing and as much as a demand that may be for that other thing. I commend the governments for doing this, because it is a significant investment. It is a cost, to fund from recurrent revenue and borrowings and what have you. But this is an investment I want us as a people to truly take seriously and apply, and give our children every opportunity, not just academic, but socialization, the opportunity for them to appreciate the value of learning, so that as they come out in society, that preschool recipient, the early childhood recipient today could be your premier in short order. You just never know. We've seen it. I invite you, as we close the discussion, again, I say thanks for taking time out to share with us, to maybe not just extend an invitation for parents to step up and asking this, is it only for the primary caregiver, the parent, or can somebody else make the application for the child? How does that work?
It's primarily the person who has legal responsibility for the child.
So even foster care, if that's the case, or adoption, or anything, that primary person. Okay.
But it doesn't mean that I cannot tell my neighbor, though.
Right.
Or I cannot encourage my nieces or my cousins or persons who I know in need. Because sometimes, as you say, that and this is good when you have pride in the fact that I should be doing better. But the reality is that sometimes life happens, and if you don't have it, so sometimes giving somebody a nudge and even accompany them or calling on their behalf, that can be done to say, I have a cousin who has a child who so and so. What does the person need to do? So it's taking the first step sometimes on behalf of the person, giving a nudge in church or wherever the organization is. Just reach out so that the news can get out there, so that it is available, and nothing beats trying. So put it out there, have a go, because we know that early years are learning years, and we want our children to have access.
Yeah, man. Well, my goal one day that education will be for all, and no matter color, creed, ethnicity, doesn't matter. We all go without fear or favor, knowing that it doesn't matter. You're on a scholarship, you're the beneficiary or something. But hey, I live in a world I'm told is a noble, some would say naive.
But you, one of the things about our centers is that you will never see a child in a center who are any center leader or school leader who allows a child to feel like, oh, you're an ECAP. There is a very good relationship between the Ministry of Education and the centers and schools, and we honor our commitments on a monthly basis, and they honor their part of the bargain. It's almost like the air we breathe when it comes down to ECAP, and the parents trust the system and what we do to ensure that they continue to have access to their children to early childhood education. And as you said at the opening, it's not only for the children but for the parents, that they can also have access to, whether they need to do some courses short term, or they are just to be safe in their job and know that their child is well taken care of.
That's right. Thank you for emphasizing that, because I think I like the fact that it's like a salary deposit. Your employer puts it to the bank once you give them the details of which bank, which account. Once you go through the process, it goes to the center, and you don't have to worry about it.
That's it.
Right? Nobody knows it's paid. It's the center and you you guys that know. That's the only people, right? And that's why I think, Ms. Dabra, as you said earlier, it's important for us as the parents to ensure that we notify of any changes, so that you know what to do. And I think that confidentiality, that level of respect, the person in there, maybe, whoever it is, and the person may be somebody else, but it's being paid, nobody knows the difference, right? So that level of respect is what I appreciate. Thank you. Any final thoughts from you, Ms. Dabra?
Just to go ahead and get your forms in. If you get them in before June, your funding, if you qualify, will be in place for the beginning of September, which would be a relief, I think. They can contact the ECCE unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267. They can email ecap@gov.ky, so ecap@gov.ky, or they can send WhatsApps to the 936-0267 number.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm so glad that you were able to come over, and thank you very much for arranging your schedules to accommodate ours, and looking forward to whatever we can do to assist and getting information out.
We appreciate
Dr.
that.
Brill, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much too for having us here.
All right. Well, the Early Childhood Assistance Program is open, and if you want your funds, for your children in the early childhood centers, don't sneeze. It'll be Christmas soon. And if you're not careful, it'll be 30-30 before you know it. And it's just 2022. All right, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, well, I'm going to encourage Susan and Anita to join me. Let's see what happens when we come back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Throughout the history of pageantry, we've seen strong women represent the Cayman Islands on the international stage. They have gone on to create their own businesses, serve in public office, and continue to give back to our islands. Today, we are looking for more Caymanian women like these, who are strong, intelligent, and wish to give back to our community. If you wish to take part in the Miss World Cayman Islands pageant and to go on to represent the Cayman Islands at the Miss World pageant in 2022, please contact MissWorldCayman@gmail.com.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
As seniors, we owe it to each other to stay safe and healthy through this pandemic. Let's make sure that our COVID-19 vaccinations are up to date, including getting boosters, and be aware of your surroundings so that we can manage the conditions that make us more vulnerable. Remember, we're in this together. So do your part. Get boosted. You can visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn some more.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And, deliberately by design, we have set up a time for the remainder of the program until 2:30 or thereabouts to have some open line, to give us an opportunity to dialogue, for you to vent if you so choose, ask a question, maybe not just of me, but perhaps of the wider public or through this medium, and offering this platform to maybe ask a question of the wider community, or even our leadership, our civic or political our business leadership to ask, well, what about this? Where is that? But also to offer up a sense of contribution to make our society that much better. Well, let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Very well, sir. How are you? Well, amen. And even before you roll out of the bed, you know. Yes, sir.
I I was just sitting down and I was thinking. I went to the election of the Music Association on Sunday in the Georgetown Town Hall, and I can pretty well say I'm about there. It's probably about just one or two, no more older than me there, you know, age-wise and membership-wise, you know. And it was very, very upsetting to me because all of my life that I have been around and stuff like that in music, it has been very embarrassing to me the way that they went on and it was done, you know. And, you know, sometimes we as human beings need to have integrity and respect for our own selves, you know, because they had representatives there from the Department of Culture, which is, you know, over the Music Association. And now I am hearing that the election plus the Honorable Mr. Kenneth Bryan was there. And to me, it was done fair. And I'm understanding now that it was a stolen election. And personally, me, I think that most of the democratic countries around the world, a president or somebody in position serves 2 years and they pass on the button. If they don't want to pass it on, they're voted for another person, you know. But when you do not accept defeat after a while, you see, to me, Mr. Sterling, majority counts. And if majority vote for you, then that's who they want, you know. But I felt very embarrassed how it was done. It was a lot of words that weren't supposed to be said there, but people were upset and fed up. And now I am wondering, for Sunday they're going to have another election, not for the presidency, but for other executives on that committee. Are they going to go on the same way again on Sunday as they went on last Sunday? You know, you must have pride in oneself and respect for yourself, because if you don't respect your own self, you know, you can't get nobody to respect you. And that is my take on that. And I feel very embarrassed about it as a member of that association and one of the oldest ones as well. You know, it was very disgraceful. But I understand that the department will also have observers there again this Sunday. So I hope that most of them that was there on Sunday will come back out this Sunday to put the committee or whatever they want in order. I mean, I'm on the back burner. I'm old now.
You there, sir? Hello, sir? Okay, I'm not sure. Don't think the caller deliberately disconnected. Maybe we'll see if he rejoins us. But as I listen to the caller, before I respond, let's take this other call. Good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling.
Hello, Mr. Dean.
Hey, how are you?
Right here, Mr. Dean, feeling the heat.
I hear it, man, I hear it.
Loving it.
Hey, boy, keeps the brain sometimes going.
Keep the sweat dripping.
Makes the skin feel alive, you know.
Yes, sir. Yeah. What can you say? I mean, how you can say that we're moving forward with the you know, the ganja, and you got people opening fire up in the street because they got ganja. And the next thing I got bring to reality again. They keep watching these people under the tree and saying about, oh, they're playing cards and collecting a whole pile of money. But I bet you won't find that man in a high class suit that's stealing the whole pile of money. I bet you that, right? And I bet you because of them people sitting down under the tree, you don't got no reason for them. So the only reason you got how is the ganja. Right? And say none of them smoke ganja, but you can walk up on them and say, oh, I smell ganja. So losing this opportunity about decriminalize or legalizing, they don't want to do that because you see they're gonna lose the thing they got to keep us down, you see.
As I listen to you, I'm wondering, and that's an interesting discussion. I think I'm still on a personal level, trying to figure out how to articulate my sentiments because I have not personally yet spent sufficient time and study to understand it. But the more I read, what is it that they say? The only thing you know is that you don't know what you don't know.
All right.
And I think back to some of the names across the globe that may be seen as people who are either respected or respectable. I wouldn't even go as far to say that some are even respectful, but they occupied high office, politically elected, appointed, and the like. So this issue of ganja, maybe that has a negative connotation, so we call it marijuana, has a certain, less offensive edge. Then we call it cannabis, and then that seems to be a little bit more palatable. But to your point, the person who's smoking a joint, and I use that deliberately, at a particular setting because the person may be in law or medicine or business or religion or government or wherever, that's okay because they're doing that in the setting in this country. But the person who's sitting in the backyard, just having a spliff, well, they're doing the same thing, but it's a different mentality and respect to perception. Now, is that any different from the person who's having a high expensive alcoholic beverage or who's having something that is poured from a very cheap aluminum can? Isn't it both sort of a drug? One legal in some countries, both legal in the same country.
Intoxicating.
Right.
But they won't simplify it and let us be. You see. They can't leave us alone. You see.
Right.
Because the mind is so dirty. They feel so bad that they had to work so hard they didn't get no way under the tree.
Right. But let me ask, and not just of you, but publicly. Again, I want to speak to the little that I know and the little I've heard. But a presumably alcoholic drink, I'm told, can exacerbate how you're feeling. So in some drinks affect some people in one way and others in another. And if you feel in this way, sort of magnify that feeling. From what I gather, that's not right, and those who know better can guide me. But if we think of cannabis in whatever form it is it that we are too quick to condemn it because of it is, or are we also maybe too quick to embrace it with a full understanding the impact, just like we do with alcohol and tobacco and other drugs? So is this a case where we've gotten it wrong for so long with so many things that now we need to be mindful to have a much more open and as exhaustive a discussion and research and analysis as possible without castigating and throwing everything out, the baby in the bathwater at the same time, but without embracing it, without fully appreciating it? Because, for instance, if there are medicinal benefits, but they are better taken in one way versus another, or if you take like food, for instance, we would accept that if food is grown in a soil and under conditions that are as healthy and as safe as possible, that would probably be a better food than the same food with lots of pesticides and other chemicals and the like. So if we're going to look at the propagation of it and the legalization, I don't subscribe to the notion of decriminalization because I think it's only putting unnecessary discretion in the hands of people that could lead to further abuses and the like. Should we look at being able to ensure quality control through testing, through growth and the like, so that this thing that you're ingesting in whatever form is as the best quality as possible. Just like the cassava that you take from the ground, you want a soil to be as virgin as possible, than one that is modified in so many ways, helped along with this growth with all sorts of chemicals and the like. Which would be a better approach?
That one you're explaining right there, the one we're talking about quality control. Because number one, you try to get them to go back to where it started, why it was illegal. Why it was illegal was to keep Mexicans and Spaniards and Jamaicans and everybody else in line, keep them in line. You understand? Because just them sitting around, if they don't have no money to buy the tobacco, that's a problem. You better try to make them find some way to buy what you're selling. You understand? And if the island, Mr. Dwayne, come back to the simplicity of it. No worry about no discussion with them, because it's like you can't talk to them. They got earplugs or something in their head. They won't say to you, okay, this was brought up about racism. This was brought up about culturalism. Try to keep down and keep away the culturalism. You know all the people in jail. You know what they are though? They're what you call the real seafarers of the island. and that bond them to pieces, you see. And I sorry to tell them the truth, but you know what they say, the truth hurts, and you gotta deal with it to get through where you gotta go.
Yeah, man. Well,
once they can't realize it, this is all about racism. When it comes down to, you say I smell like ganja.
Yeah.
That's all about reason. Because you know what you can't say to me? You can't say I smell like a dog.
But
you rather can say I smell like ganja.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, right? I mean, we need to be careful how not only we pass and amend laws, or even when we refuse to even address things through legislation, but also the enforcement and non-enforcement. And maybe this is an opportune time to look at things, especially if there are medicinal benefits to something, but to ensure that we're not putting something in a wider community that is so accessible. Just like what we've done with alcohol. I mean, most of us probably could have, maybe it's even easier now, I don't know, get alcohol just as easy as we can get candy, all right? Any final thoughts you want to leave with us, sir?
No, I just said, if you go shoot me over some ganja, right, I want to know who the real criminal is. And I ask them that every time I call it.
Yeah,
call radio. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
You're welcome, man. Listen, take good care of yourself and talk to you soon, all right? We're going to pause and take a break, but we want you to share your thoughts with us. And don't be shy in sharing your sentiments. You agree with something, you disagree, or you say, boy, I'm not quite sure. I kind of got mixed feelings. Well, share your thoughts with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Ministry of Planning would like to remind the community that Cardinal Avenue will be closed to vehicular traffic from Monday, 14th of March, to facilitate the Business District Enhancement Project. Motorists can continue to access Central Georgetown from Seafarers Way via Fort Street or Mary Street. Cardinal Avenue remains open to foot traffic for access to shops, cafes, and businesses. For more information and project updates, follow the Georgetown Revitalization Initiative on Facebook and Instagram.
As the longest established pensions plan in the Cayman Islands, the Chamber Pension Plan looks forward to delivering the same strong performance for our members, but now in a new location. As of March 1st, our new pensions operation office is located at 14 Saturn Close, Eastern Avenue, the same building as our new administrator's agent, Saxon Administration Limited. A dedicated and experienced team will be assigned to the Chamber Pension Plan. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky, and for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. New location, new administrator's agent, new customer service, same strong performance.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitments to further your career. Attention Caymanian job seekers! Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky, that's WORC.ky, to register and apply online.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's open line. We want to hear from each and every one of you who wish to choose 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8837 as we go to the phones. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Mr. Sterling.
Hey, welcome back again, sir.
Yes, I was talking, but I realized that I was talking to myself. They said that when you get old, huh?
Well, sometimes it can be equipment failure. Hopefully that's not happening to get old either, but, you know, it's just part of it, you know?
Sometimes that's a comfort. Yeah, I was saying, you know, that I felt embarrassed about the you know, the meeting, because they were all adult people there, really big adult people there, and the way that they went on, you know. And now what is happening now is that Sunday now they will have another election, and to me personally, there are many people who want to talk and afraid to talk, and if you're afraid to talk, I mean, what you're going to do? You have to talk. If something is not right, it's not right, you know. And it's a lot of musicians have a lot to say, but they can't come out publicly and say it, you know. And I told a friend of mine a couple years back to say, that's when I was 50, almost another 50. I told him, I said, if you as a man, and when you reach the age of 50 after listening to your parents for so many years, and if you can't tell a person what you got to tell them to your face, it really, when you'll be able to tell them, when you're hungry, you know?
But why is that, though?
And the part, like I said, this is a democratic island, you know? And the part with that, everything you do, you got everybody. All right, I said personally, the President of the United States served 2 terms, you know?
Well, okay.
Pass on, so I don't know what is the problem now. And I'm wondering, because I didn't see anything went wrong, Mr. Bryan was sitting right in the front there, and Mr. Austin Harris and many other ones were there, and they didn't have anything to say. They didn't say anything. But now I am here and I'm receiving messages on my phone that it was, that it was stolen.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, this is where, and as you said, certain political offices, but even certain other elected positions have under the constitution of the organization or the country, or as it is, that there's a term limit on who can occupy the office for how long and the like, right? But should it not rest on the voters or the membership to be actively engaged and informed to ensure that they're the ultimate arbiters, the ones who decide whether this person should be elected for consecutive terms, as opposed to it being an arbitrary thing that said after 1 term, 2 term, 3 terms, whether it's a 4-year term or a 10-year term. I mean, we as a people need to be actively engaged and informed and not leave it to this thing. As an aside, okay, you might be happy for a term limit when the person in office is so horrible, according to the membership, that they can't wait for the term to end so they cannot be eligible. But what if you find that you have this wonderful person, right? Think back to, U.S. President Clinton, for instance. I think if he could have served like the wartime president, he probably would have got a 3rd or a 4th term. That may be the same with President Reagan or others. Now, should we let something like a term limit that is in some inscribed piece of paper dictate that a person can't because they can't, and yet the populace wants them? I mean, we got to take responsibility,
Yeah, I agree with that, but I feel that once although you're doing a good job, but once after a period of time, you're in that position for a while, you feel like you own it.
Okay, fair enough.
It becomes a bit, to me, this is my personal opinion, it becomes a bit of a dictatorship.
Okay, well, and I hear your point, but let me ask you, right? Let's take a private sector entity, and the person is the head of a section, or is the very head of that entity, right? So Bank A, the president is, whatever the president is, right? And just stays there. Now, probably no term limit on that appointment. You say, well, why should there be? It's a private entity. But if we're not going to create that across the board, why should it be in a public entity and why should it be in an organization? Again, it's back to the stakeholders, the employees, the customers, the membership, the voters, the people that are affected by it, to decide whether or not this direction by this particular head is the direction that they want to go in. I mean, if not, it could still be to use your word, a dictatorship. The person feel like they own it.
Yeah, Mr. Sterling, I feel that majority rules. Not all the time the majority is right, but majority always rule, And if it's an election and the majority vote for something, that's what they want.
Right. But that majority sometimes have a qualifier, right? In that it may be a simple majority, so 50 plus 1 or 51%, or it maybe has to be a 2/3 or 3/4 majority, right? So where are we again in making sure that the thing is representative and reflective of what it is that we wanted to achieve in terms of equality, democracy, participation, fairness, those kind of things?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Sterling, but like I say, that's in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
The way that, that they went on, the members went on because they were upset with certain things that was happening. And people get upset when things are not right.
Right.
And so that is my personal opinion. But I want to call in to say that, it was disrespectful, the meeting. And I hope that this one Sunday coming will be more respectable for everybody.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're most welcome, sir. And thank you for that. And maybe, you being a singer and a musician you are, what's that song that we sing in church? These are the days of Elijah. These are the days. Okay. When you come out for a breakdown, more Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Police can now confirm that the 45-year-old woman that was found unresponsive at her Georgetown home address was pronounced deceased by the attending doctor at the location, after which she was transported by ambulance to the hospital. The circumstances of her passing are being investigated by the police. However, no foul play is suspected at this time. In international news, Russia has hit back at Western sanctions for invading Ukraine by imposing export bans on a string of products until the end of 2022. The ban covers exports of telecoms, medical, vehicle, agricultural, and electrical equipment, as well as some forestry products such as timber. The Economy Ministry said further measures could include restricting foreign ships from Russian ports. Ukraine said the Russian airstrike on maternity and children's wards in Mariupol was a war crime. 3 people, including a child, were killed and 17 staff and patients were injured. There have also been reports that Russian troops have targeted fleeing Ukrainian civilians. There's mounting evidence that cluster bombs, munitions that separate into lots of bomblets, have hit civilian areas in Kharkiv. The UK Ministry of Defence says Russia has used thermobaric explosives, which create a massive vacuum by sucking up oxygen. These devastating explosives are not banned, but their deliberate use near civilians would almost certainly break the rules of war. Many experts argue the invasion itself is a crime under the concept of aggressive warfare. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky. Music.
Shorty coming with a Cayman vibe.
It holds a special place in our Caymanian heritage and culture. It unites our community,
fuels our spirit of positivity,
and keeps Caymankind alive. From kitchen bands and gospel singers to reggae, hip-hop, and country.
The new generation of Caymanian artists and performers.
Our taste in music may be diverse, but let's come together as one Caymanian song. Keep the love alive. Keep the love alive.
The Cayman Music and Entertainment Association thanks you for your support of our local talent here in Cayman and beyond.
For more information on musicians, DJs, or to learn about the CMEA, call 929-8646 or email cmeainfo@gmail.com. Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045 and pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. It is Open Line. We certainly appreciate and welcome each and every one of you to share your thoughts with us. So respectfully, let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Dwayne, how are you?
Very well, man. How are you?
Boy, taking my licks and dodging the blows.
Well, sometimes, you know, our customer used to tell Muhammad Ali.
I don't know which one would be harder doing. The licks or the blows?
No, man. You gotta be like Ali, man. You know, stick and move, man. Stick and move.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know the thing is, right? Well, listen, no, let me not interject. You go ahead and talk, let me listen, and I'll respond, if you wish.
Well, I'm back again at the planning department.
Yeah, congratulations, man. Did you appoint you the acting director? No, just kidding, I better be here.
I hope they would make me director. Now I'm acting.
Nah,
there's a lot of stuff that is going on that needs to be cleared up. And I thought, that the deputy governor would have looked into it by now. Because I called yesterday for a gentleman. As a matter of fact, he called from right beside me, and we called about 10 numbers, and not one person answered. Not one person. He had to physically go down there to the department.
But and I don't wish to either inflame the situation, certainly offend anybody. But I wonder sometimes if, as a country, we appreciate. I'll give us an example. We look at Cayman and we don't realize that as a country, we have to pay and provide the same level of services just in the private sector and in the public sector included, right, that any big country with tens of millions of people, the citizens expect, right? So are we at a place where we don't have the sufficient resources, the people, to meet the demands and expectations?
Well, they don't have, I would say they do not have the resources for the road.
Mm-hmm.
But they have quite a few people inside the department.
Mm-hmm.
I got a list on my computer screen right in front of me
mm-hmm.
of those that are in the department, the clerical staff and whatever else.
Right.
And you can call, I guarantee you can call them and you won't get no answer.
But
and for inspection,
go ahead.
you don't get the service for inspection because they don't have the inspectors.
So
they get an inspector today and tomorrow he's gone.
Right.
Why?
All right. Well, we let me then ask then, if let's take government, the provision of government services. We hire more people, we buy more equipment, whether those are vehicles, computers, or what have you, and then that expenditure, whether it's a one-off expenditure, whether it's a continuing expenditure relative to staffing, the community is going to say, well, gee, the government spent all this money. So you're trying to balance that. Is it then that we need to find a way to reallocate what we have? You, I think, and if I'm mistaken, please guide me, and if I'm correct, expound a little further. You would say that perhaps with respect to inspections, we might be able to employ a system that says to the master, I think was the word you used, to the master plumber, the master electrician, the people who, because of their professionalism, their experience, their expertise, they would be able to be helpful. Not that they're going to inspect and pass their own jobs, but they would be able to be of greater value so that we ensure the quality control, we ensure the integrity of the system, but we also ensure the particular project is completed in a way that absolutely pays paramount to the safety of the homeowner, the occupants of the building, the users of the space. Is it possible that we need to rethink and redeploy somehow how we go about inspecting, licensing, approving, and the like?
Well, they need to look at those disciplines that have
mm-hmm.
those, you would say, higher up categories.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at it, they had at that one time just government staff that were doing plan review.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they have what you call a third-party reviewer system in place, that they have certain companies that will do these third-party review, and it is acceptable as if they had done it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the difference, in getting some of the master plumbers, electricians
mm-hmm.
that they can, rely on, that they know who is who.
Right.
Because they've been in that position long enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they can say, well, okay, John Brown, Mary Sue, or Joe Blow.
Right.
Is competent enough that when they sign off, we know that he not just signing off and something he didn't see or acknowledge or went through.
Right, because their name, reputation is on the line, so to speak.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And that is how actually it should be, because when you would say qualify for a master plumber or electrician, you had to have some good credentials behind you.
Okay.
In order to get it.
Yeah, you educated me now, because I don't know a lot about that field. So thank you for expounding on it.
You're welcome. And it's not hard to incorporate these fellas into being responsible enough to take on that responsibility.
Mm. Is there more than that we can do? And maybe this is the incorrect word to use, but in addition to what you're proposing, maybe a lot of the things could be done to improve efficiency and effectiveness, administratively. So that let's say a house, for instance, nothing complicated. You could even say, small apartment development, duplex, even, that you meet the criteria of whatever the planning regulations and laws and all the things that go into that process, and you submit it, and it's looked at administrated later by either the team there or a contracted team or however, and it meets the criteria and it's passed, as opposed to going through a vetting process of boards or other third-party reviews that like.
Houses and duplexes pretty much is on that par right now.
Right.
With being plan review type applications.
Right.
But they still have to be checked by the plans examiner.
Which would make sense that it has a certain... Yeah, I'm on with you.
However, on a residential house or a duplex or something like that, there are a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, don't need to be as vigorous as they're doing, because they're going through and they're checking it with a fine comb. Now, that's on every residential project. It could be 500 square feet or it could be 3,000.
Okay.
It don't make no difference there.
Mm-hmm.
The only one up in there that does anything is the one main plans examiner they got for electrical. And he's been the chief electrical inspector for years until he retired, and now they called him back to do plans examiners.
Okay.
And he does, he basically looks at it, makes sure that the calculation is good, the wire sizes is good, and you got spacing and stuff like that he checks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You should just, I mean, in my opinion, do what you would say he does. Turn it loose.
Yeah.
Once they meet the certain code, you're gonna check for safety, like if you have GFIs and stuff like that you need.
Mm.
But you don't need to go and sit down there and see what you can find wrong with the drawing.
Right.
And these are what also the inspectors are doing out on the site. If you call for an inspection on a house that is 30, 40 years old, and it is the service equipment that is bad, you have one particular inspector that wants to go through the entire house and throw the book at you for a 30 or 40-year-old house.
Mm.
Sterling, that's wrong.
Well,
the law does not protect him on that. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he enters homes illegally because some of the people not even home.
I understand that in some jurisdictions, and maybe in Canada in particular, again, this is my understanding, that if you, to your point, you're renovating a house that is 30, 40 years old. When the house was constructed, this was the code, and now that you're doing a certain renovation, you need to bring the whole structure up to the code of today, and that may be prohibitively expensive, maybe near impossible, but how do you...
But you said the word, renovations.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say renovation.
No, I know you did.
I said service, if the service is bad.
Right.
Because you're only touching that meter and maybe the panel box or both.
Mm-hmm. I think from what you're sharing, I think the idea is that maybe we want to ensure that safety is paramount for everybody, and if we just use it for the personal private home, then you're saying, well, how do we draw a balance between safety and ensuring that we're being efficient and effective in the whole review, approval, and inspection process?
And if I do not give you permission to go through my house, you have no right to go through my house,
Mm.
If it's a new construction, you have all of the right to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But not an existing house. Unless I am touching something, like you said, renovations,
mm-hmm.
you have no right to go through my house. Because what's in my house is mine, not yours.
Well, you've been digging this for a while, and maybe if you're not getting sufficient redress, there is the ombudsman, there is the formal process, because maybe what you're saying, you'll come to light that it's really not as serious, maybe it's as egregious as you share, maybe there's a simple solution, maybe it isn't, but hopefully it'll get their address so that the next people have, in fact, been approved because of your, consistent, diligent approach to it, my friend. All right?
It can be, yep.
All right. Keep us posted, though. All right?
Okay.
Blessings, man. Blessings. Well, Miss Susan, final break to take. When we come back, we'll talk today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And it is open line. We have, just about 12 minutes in our show. We're grateful for each caller as we take the next one. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Sorry, Ram speaking.
Hey, Ram, how's it going, man?
My head is friend. Sorry, all I wait on tomorrow, on so from now Monday, to accumulate back my pension, my former employer. That's what I'm waiting on. Tomorrow or next, because I was paid this Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And something different like the last caller, right? You mentioned with the NEC code, right? Apparently, started from 2005, there's been a lot of red tape in bureaucracy, right? A lot of advice and amendment. So it really extreme, right, to a certain extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
If presidential a major project, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
I understand the passion with it. You understand? It's all about deception, detection, and technique. If you know. Started the point. One of the callers called in, right? Then the associate he called in now about the herb thing, the alcohol. All right. Started my family members know me in the block. My dad, uncles, grandparents, cousins, they know me. My family here. You know alcohol, obviously. Sterling. When you consume alcohol, Sterling, right? Your contempt of emotion reflects a physical revulsion. You feel me? You can be arrogant. If you cross drinking, you half cut, you storm down drunk. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
You can be hostile. So it's about limitation and moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And one more thing, Sterling, finding out Caymanians, right? I work hard because for years. In my past, if a Caymanian come high off a herb sensei, it's like a sin, a crime. Right? But the experts in a problem, they're passing through. You feel that? And it's all about coping mechanism and moderation. You know? So then I put my boundary today on the road. Right? So then 19 weeks, and I'm based on 19 weeks. Okay? So I give myself a break at all with the frost. You feel me? And people know me when I consume my herbs. And the best man, I'm Santa Claus. You feel me? She's here that people know in a physical form. You know? So, instead of find that now, I put my Facebook yesterday morning because I got three newspapers. One of my second cousin, she should have brought me to live here. 35 years as she was working in Mount Elvis, a daughter firm, and I got Mount Elvis with political mavericks. So I got a laminated, you know. So I know, but we started April 9th edition last year. They talk about contenders for premier, right? Last year, newspaper came on campus. Remember, the name came on campus. The owner came on campus now. Different aspect, different point of view. And so then, at that time, now, these candidates, they came on different format, and they was advocating for the herbs. You know, some say decriminalize. 90% say decriminalize. One lady, I got her phone number. She says she's against it because her religion. I expect upon going that one. Okay? But still, the point you make now, still, we're able to legalize now. The whole world going out, you know, majority, right? But this part of hemisphere, we going to decriminalize. And all you're selling is build up more fines in the courthouse, right? And that arraignment, that's all I do. That's all I build up. That's, you know, if you're X amount, that's foolishness, money making. You know, if I legalize those monies, the monetary funds, go everywhere. Like I said again, medical, education, beautification, infrastructure. You see what I'm saying? And they got broken record over and over and over. And over almost a year now, this morning, Parliament and the MLA obsolete now, she read off. See? We call Parliament now, and I hear nothing yet. Right? Right? My uncle now, he might be done with it, be hard with that. You understand? And others too. Instead of most people that consume marijuana, you might know that they does it. They the best people came on and so. They the best people. My parents, they're respectable people. You feel that? But came on, we have tenants there. You read off, if you came on it. Like you mentioned earlier, something, right? You see that if you back yard, you blaze your righteousness. It's a sin, right? Because you never a certain arena, right? Or a spectrum. You feel me? So came on, wake up, smell the coffee. And so then 90% people agree with me. On the old school people, I don't think amnesia or what, right? Because we henceforth times, modern times, intercultural times, and you see the same sex union thing, I against it, but that's the lifestyle. And finally, so like I say now, my wife, whoever she is, in the future, she's older than me, younger than me, I indulge her, I put on her to smoke, okay? She can drink a wine or beer, whatever, right? Or she can do without it. Okay. So then you take it last month.
All right. Thanks very much, man. And to the caller's point, I mean, is this, like so many things, an opportunity to have a discussion? We have our own perspective shaped by our experiences, perhaps our perceptions and misconceptions, the myths and the like. But the question is there a semblance of sobriety, no pun intended, in our thinking? Is there a sense of civility? Are we being cordial? Are we actually trying to not just be amenable and considerate, but are we actually trying to get to a place that is a constructive dialogue leading to a very positive outcome? There are some of us that will have no discussion in relation to certain things. That's just it. We just won't. We close our ears and our minds to it. Then there are others that sometimes we try to be so open-minded that we never ever get to a space where we're able to distill information and make any meaningful sort of contribution because we're just trying to accommodate everybody. Now, that doesn't intend to offend others, doesn't mean that it hasn't. But the question is Do we still look at things through a lens without understanding that we have information? And yet, in this very day and age, when places like the WHO and the CDC and, Public Health England and wherever it is that we say is credible, say something today and it conflicts from what they said yesterday, we're willing to accept it without question. Well, maybe we still need to be, as the Russian proverb, trust but verify. Let's go to the phones, huh? Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Sterling. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Blessed and thankful, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Good to hear from you.
Totally off topic. But I was listening to you, Flex, as I do once I'm in the car. I listen to you.
Well, thank you.
And I recently I haven't listened too much since Jamo left the program. He was my boy. I don't know him, I never met him. But since Jamo left, I haven't done a lot of listening. But I listened yesterday. And Sterling, I tell you, there was so much pride. I was bubbling over with pride. A group of intelligent, smart, young Caymanian people who, for the most part, seem to know where they're going. And I suspected in the back of my mind that such people existed. They must be around. Unfortunately, the circles in which I operate, not a whole bunch of Caymanians are there. Because mostly, let me put it this way, mostly it's a church. So, some who are maybe first or second generation Cayman, but there are not a lot of them. But I heard so much wisdom being, spewed from the mouths of these young Caymanian people. I felt good. I felt like, hopeful for the future of our country. I don't know how much of it I'm going to see, but I felt hopeful because I got grandkids who will grow up here, God willing. So I just wanted to say that. So how heartening it was. UFlex is a good program.
It is one.
It should be continued, and it should, a lot of we should try to see how many other young people we get on there. I mean, these were creme de la creme, because these were all, I think, for the most part, there were people who were on the Proud of Them billboards and stuff like that. So these we would understand are exceptional. But I'm sure there are lots more out there, and I would respectfully request that try to get some more of them on there. So I just thought I should share that.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, because as you've highlighted our Youth Flex program, I think it's a wonderful initiative. I've had the opportunity from time to time to have someone on, but once or twice or three times, they've actually had me on, and it's been amazing to be a part of that. So as you indicate, we have some wonderful young people. They've always existed. They've grown up to be the Jamos of the world and the like. We just need to embrace them, nurture them, give them a sense of correction when they need it, but draw alongside to provide not just provision but protection, so that they feel that they can go in the world not only with us holding their hands, but with the confidence that they can take up the mantle, because they know that they have it within them. So thank you very much, sir, for identifying and highlighting them.
Thank you.
All right, blessings to you. Blessings to you.
Blessings to you, sir.
All right. Well, listen, Friday is tomorrow. Miss Susan, already? Friday? Wow, can you believe it? So you know what that means, right? If Friday is tomorrow, that means yesterday was Wednesday and Saturday is the day following. God's willing, we'll be a part of each one. And it'll be a productive, pleasant one. Shane Noby Edwards has agreed to join me tomorrow for a bit. And, he brings a lot of great insight. And speaking of young people, well, we get a chance to listen and draw alongside each other. And I want us to start to appreciate it is not just something that we may have read in the scriptures or we may have heard. To whom much is given, much is required. We have to contribute. We have to be able to not just chastise in private and praise in public, but we need to sometimes be that example for others, so that irrespective if they're 17 or 70, that they appreciate sometimes, the instruction, the guidance, the example of others, so that we can be better. The questions we have to ask ourselves sometimes, is it fame or infamy that will be, our legacy? And are we being, are people with great pride in ourselves, or if you will forgive, the colloquialism, are we proud and stuck up? The notion is, when you bend down to tie your shoelaces, are you also willing to do the same for somebody else? And when you reach up, are you willing to not only pull yourself up, but to extend a hand to bring somebody else along to the summit as you ascend? Listen, I love this place. I have no question about that. I have sometimes to come to realize that some things I say and do may offend even the individual that may be perceived as a tough-skinned individual, but they're probably the most sensitive. I don't care if your office that occupies the highest office in the land, in the country, or if you're the head of the fundraising committee. We're all human. Humility, honor, love, respect, kindness, compassion, consideration, it goes a long way. And if you make me better, then I'm a better person. And hopefully as a better person, I can do better. Be blessed. Have a great sense of love, pride, respect for each other and for yourself. I look in the mirror and shave sometimes, not because the beard is growing, not because I want to look handsome, but because you know what? When I do that, I can appreciate that underneath that hair, and there's a skin that needs to shine so that it serves an example. But it's a skin that is not sinless. It's a skin sometimes that is scorched by the sun, not because, hard work, but it's one that is there to be reminded of the service and sacrifice of any who has come before. So draw alongside, my friends. Let's unify. Let's make this country better. As we leash and muzzle our dogs, sometimes we do the same with our own mouths. Let's be prepared to act together so that our hands are helpful. Until then, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
After all that talk, sit back, relax. Easy listening on the way. You're listening to Susan on the PM Show, Radio Cayman.